Hey everyone, in today's vlog, we're going to talk about how you can start working with your subconscious mind. Now, I work with the Law of One Tarot and I am working with the mind complex. So this is all of the major arcana except for the choice or the Fool card. And if you can see, the mind complex that Roz divided all of this into is actually 7 cards, but I'm only going to work with the first 4. Plus today I'm going to introduce the Hierophant, which is the significator in the mind complex as per Ra in the Law of One Tarot. So let's talk about the subconscious mind and how to resolve all that stuff that's in the subconscious mind. Now, the things that are in the subconscious mind, I just want to bring you down to this iceberg example really quick. I give this example in depth in one of my vlogs, so I'm just very quickly going to go over it. I'll link the vlog below. I also will link the vlog. I did a podcast on the subconscious mind, and it's got a bit of a waking meditation on how to use moon energy with Reiki key energy to begin to resolve the subconscious mind, and it's got affirmations in it, so I'll link that below as well. So the subconscious mind is the high priestess, and it is the moon. So the moon, and when you're dealing with any sort of planets, you're dealing with the energy of magnetization, okay? So in order to explain the subconscious mind and the unconscious mind, they're separate. They're very different. So let me give you this iceberg. Imagine this is the water here. We have the iceberg. The top 20% is your conscious mind, and your conscious personal consciousness, not all of consciousness. The magician is all of your unfed consciousness, which is your super conscious, which is here, and it's everything that's on top of the waterline of this iceberg. And the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg that we can physically see is your personal consciousness, which is the emperor. Okay, so it is, so what you're dealing here, the super conscious mind is the magician. It's a positive energy. The personal conscious mind is the emperor. It's yang, positive energy. Now, if you go below the sea, below the water, that's where most of how we live our life is. Underneath the iceberg, 80% of it is your unconscious mind or your ego. In another vlog, I explain how the zodiac influence everything that you do in your life, which is your ego. I'll link that one below as well. So underneath the 80% of how we act in life of the iceberg is your unconscious mind. So that is the Empress. She is the unconscious mind. All the water that is surrounding the unconscious mind or the Empress or the ego is your subconscious mind. And this subconscious mind is constantly constricting the unconscious mind, potentiating it. So these two negatives, so now you have two feminine, yin energy negatives below the surface, below the water, that are working quietly, okay? So you have your unconscious mind, which is the Empress. It is what is happening in our brain constantly in our bodies, the chemical reaction, our animal brain that's circulating the same thoughts over and over again. But then we've got the subconscious mind, which is the water around it, which is the fluid in your body. So the fluid around your organs, the fluid around your brain, it's all the subconscious mind, and it's compressing the unconscious mind. The unconscious mind is your organs until you put consciousness to them. So the water in your body is compressing, if you can visualize this, your organs. And this water, what does the moon do? This is in my podcast. The moon is constantly controlling water. When it's high, 2 times a day, we have high tide, 2 times a day, we have low tide. Same thing in your body. All right, so now that we know the difference between the subconscious, unconscious, conscious, superconscious, or unfed consciousness, let's talk about how we can work on the subconscious. So not the organs of your body, not the unconscious, the subconscious, the fluid in your body. How can we, because the fluid in your body, so you see all of this water, the ocean is vast. How many different icebergs are in the ocean? Many icebergs. So the subconscious mind is not only yours, it's everybody's subconscious mind. So all the icebergs that she touches underneath in the water, she rolls that energy depending on the moon, the tides, how big and how small, it's controlled by the moon. That energy magnetizes the water and it flows through you underneath. You're an iceberg, you're 80% unconscious. She then takes other people's unconscious minds and she rolls them through you. She rolls them through your organs. And these, if you want to visualize it, so I think that's a good visual that I just gave you, but another good visualization, if you are good at visualizing pendulums and energy, if you walk into a room, you can sense what that energy is. You can sense if the energy is super negative or if these people are judging you. You can just sense things. Same thing is happening underwater. Above water, we can look at it as a pendulum almost. Below water, you can visualize it as waves going through the unconscious, or they go around. As your unconscious mind becomes the royal empress that she is, she starts getting some self-awareness. She makes the choice of observing the subconscious and not surrendering to the subconscious and fear all the time. She becomes royal. She becomes her true empress self. And the unconscious starts to release from the organs. The first place that most people will find release in their spiritual pathway is liver, is their anger. You won't be as angry anymore at little things that happen in life, like traffic jams. All right, so sorry, I talk too much. All right, so let's get to the vlog. The subconscious mind and how can we resolve? So if the subconscious mind is so vast and it's everybody, it's also your past life stuff that you karmically need to release in this life. So how can we begin to resolve it? The subconscious mind works best. She works best with the personal conscious. So without the subconscious mind, let me make very clear, we would not have this third density. Without the high priestess, the superconscious, the unfed conscious, the magician is nothing. The magician is absolutely nothing. What she does, we need the subconscious mind under the water. We need her because she is the one that provides this superconscious, this unfed conscious mind, an experience. And all consciousness wants is an experience. The magician is up here, right? So the magician is all the air. So the magician can bring to the unconscious mind the sun, who is the sub-logos. So the sun's so the light of the sun carries wisdom. It carries all the answers that you need. So sunlight goes through the superconscious and then it is able to access the unconscious. Your archangels, your guides, everybody goes through the magician, the superconscious, in order to access the other minds, in order to access the unconscious and the conscious mind and the subconscious mind as well. So we have to go through, everything has to go through the magician, including her. She, remember, is a negative charge here. She's a negative charge. He's a positive charge. When these two get together, she is constantly feeding him experience, Now, since she is constantly feeding him experience, the superconscious is often putting this experience that she's feeding into her. which is the unconscious mind, right? So he can put this experience into her, but he is also the one that wakes her up when the logos, when the sun energy or wisdom from the sun wants you give way. The Empress gets off of this box for a minute, and see how this moon is right underneath her feet? Guess why the moon is underneath her feet? You see the crescent moon, and she's unstable if she gets up. It's a crescent moon. It's because this subconscious is making her unstable, unrooted under her feet. So she goes through the suffering, the traumas that are to be our experience in this third density. Again, remember, she's the water, right? So the subconscious mind, which is the moon, is always keeping her a little unstable, a little off her feet, ungrounded, unable to root. So all of this, these two negatives, even they like you would, so two negatives repel. That is when you become more conscious, is when they begin to repel. In the beginning, there's a lot of constriction going on because she's constantly depositing in the unfed conscious mind. The unfed conscious mind, though, doesn't judge. This one over here, your personal consciousness, that one judges. This one, if it started to judge, you would not have access to your archangels. You would not have access to your guides, to the logos, light energy, none of that. We wouldn't get that information. So this one doesn't judge, it just watches. So as this keeps being fed, and these negatives are kind of working together slowly because the deposit over the years of life is happening. So back to the high priestess. So now we know that the high priestess is feeding the magician. The magician is not judging. The magician is then feeding all this other stuff into the unconscious mind. But if we want, and then the unconscious mind is taking her negative and feeding the personal conscious mind, which is where judgment happens. Now, how can we start releasing the pressure so these two negatives can actually start repelling? How can we start releasing the pressure and working with the subconscious mind? And the answer is the Emperor. So what you want to do, the subconscious mind, so everybody else's garbage that is going on, instead of taking it on, which is what the Emperor does. The Emperor doesn't know any better but to believe everything that is fed to him by the subconscious mind. But when the Emperor becomes the observer, and I've explained this before in a vlog, so when the Emperor starts to look out to the magnetization of the moon and starts to realize, like, hold on, this isn't my truth. I don't understand what is going on. Wait. With a curious mind, the Emperor, the Yang energy, puts a stop to reaction, the Yang to the subconscious mind. That is when because look at, she's wearing the veil, right? That is when the moon energy, instead of when everybody is going through a low tide, because everybody in a day, in 24 hours, 2 low tides, 2 high tides, when everybody else around you is going through a low tide, you are going to start unlifting her veil. You are going to start helping her. See how she's between the white and the dark pillars, the negative, positive charge? With this observation that you give her here, it's like giving her a hand and being like, let's neutralize you. Let's it's okay, subconscious mind. Thank you for being here. What's under that box? What's under? Can I use your Ankh? Can you help me with this Ankh? Come to consciousness. And she will. And this is what she wants. She's a potentiator. So instead of potentiating experiences on the unconscious, when you bring consciousness to her, what she's going to do over time, over years, as you keep doing this and your fears release from your organs, she is going to take these grapes from her cloak, from her robe, she's going to take these grapes, and this happened to me in yoga just yesterday. She took the grape and she fed it to me, and then she gave me the bundle of grapes, and I was like, what the hell is that? What is the subconscious doing? And the subconscious, grapes are protection. Grapes are protection. So once you get into the area of consciousness, you fully embrace this emperor. Once you get into consciousness, you are protected. I feel like that's what was happening. I don't know. So the other thing I just want to say is a lot of people put the Hierophant before the Emperor. So this is the Hierophant. And in Ra's Law of One Tarot, if you notice, the Hierophant comes after the Emperor. It's not before. So, and the reason is the Hierophant is the significator. The Hierophant is the teacher. The Hierophant can't be the teacher until it's a learner. At first half of life for most people, you're a learner teacher of consciousness. You cannot become the teacher until these two become absolutely balanced. So until Jung talks about this. Jung talks about this. The anime and the animus. That's what he says. So until you integrate animus, I believe, is the male part in the female. And the reason we're always looking for a relationship, because internally, this Empress, your unconscious mind, so badly wants to integrate the male portion. It so badly wants balance, like this, your transformation. So it so badly wants balance, and so does the Emperor. The Emperor so badly wants to integrate the feminine parts of him, and this is why we're always seeking outward. That's your unconscious mind. You think you can't satisfy yourself, so you're seeking outward for relationships. When the male energy of this female, which is the Emperor, and the Emperor integrates the female energy, which is the Empress of the male, that is when the Hierophant, or the significator, the teacher learner, can be woken. I hope that makes sense. Love you guys. Oh, and then buy my book of tarot. My workbook, Law of One Tarot, is pretty amazing. Workbook 1, you can work through it with these blogs. I love it. Workbook 1 is slow. I've written 2 and 3. I might release them within this year, but I think everybody should start with workbook 1. You really need to look at the cards. You need to meditate. You need to journal on them. You need to form your own opinion about them. But these vlogs, I think, will help you through the workbooks. Love you guys.